It's just a trial run.
Take one. Good evening and welcome to tonight's council meeting. I'd like to call the meeting to order. First thing I'm going to ask for is agenda changes.
Staff have no changes to present for the agenda this evening.
Okay, next item is public forum. I'll open up for public forum now. If anybody's here wishing to address the council that's not on the agenda. Seeing no movement from the audience, we'll close the public forum. And I'm going to move right away. We have an executive session scheduled for the start of the meeting, and I would entertain that motion now.
Mr. Mayor, I move that the Halstead City Council recess into executive session for 10 minutes to discuss contract negotiations pursuant to the consultation with an attorney on matters that would be deemed privileged in the attorney-client relationship, exception KSA 75-4319B2, and ask that in addition to the governing body, the following persons join the governing body in executive session: the city manager and the city attorney. The open meeting and governing body to reconvene in the city council chamber at 7:12 p.m.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to enter into executive session. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. We will be moving into executive session.
Sam.
Okay, we are back from our executive session. Is there any action to be taken as a result of? Hearing nothing from the council, we'll move on our agenda. Next thing I'm gonna ask for is the approval of the consent agenda.
Mr. Mayor, if there's no other discussion about the consent agenda, I'd make a motion to approve that consent agenda for November 22nd, 2021 as presented.
Second.
Have the motion and the second to approve the consent agenda. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those same sign, and the consent agenda passes. We have no unfinished business tonight, so we're gonna move right into new business, and the first item is discussion of developers agreement and real estate purchase offer. Sorry, it's been a long day. Ethan, you wanna give an intro?
Sure. Eddie and Alan are here again to discuss the developer agreement and kind of what they had put last meeting. As far as staff recommendation would just be, at the very least, for the city to decide where they want that financial guarantee set so we can get a developer's agreement finalized, but I believe they have information they'd like to present, possibly. Maybe not. Okay.
You drew the short straw again, Alan?
Yeah.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, City Council members. I guess this evening, like Ethan mentioned, we would just like to try to find out where to go next from here, whether it be 60, 40, or 35, 65 on the percentages. And also maybe throw out some ideas as far as the purchase of the 4 lots that are left on the Powers Edition. We still feel like it's a great opportunity for Halstead, exciting times. Just wanted to see if you guys had any questions as far as to help make your decision, or
Were you gonna say something?
No, I can. Just after reviewing it, like I've said before, it's a risk, right, for the city. It's in doing these projects, like I've mentioned before in previous meetings as well too, is that we've taken on as a city, we've taken on a lot of the burden too, right? To kind of assist with this with regards to, the sidewalks. I believe part of it too, when we were talking with bond council and all, was this, I think it was the sewer and all too, that typically with regards to these development activities, it's usually on the developers to handle. I am personally, based off of the recommendation from our bond council when we had those discussions, I'm still at the 60-40. With, again, like we had talked about before, with once there's 50% reduction, once 50% of the lots are completed, right? And then dropping it like we did before, 75%. Once you hit 75%, we drop it to 100% reduction, right? So there wouldn't be any bond at all. So that's kind of where I'm still at with this process.
I'd like to respectfully disagree. I think that this is an opportunity that we can give to the developers in lieu of tax abatement. We can't give you a tax abatement like we do other companies. We can give you, and I agree that we're taking on a risk, and I understand that, but it's a minimal risk, and I think the rewards are better for us if we were to allow you to drop the bond percent by 5% to 35. I think that gives you an opportunity to finance the building of another home or two and to get those sold. Because once you build a home and sell a home, it becomes tax revenue. It's on the city roll. So we get immediate recognition for that. Tax abatements, they take upwards of 10 years to get recovery on. And along that same line, I'd like to ask that the purchase of the property be delayed. I think it's premature right now for the sale of those 4 lots. So I'd like that included in
I'd agree
the
with that.
recommendation.
Yeah.
I'd like to chime in on, I also would like to follow our bond counsel's advice. We were at 50-50 last time around, and even trying to, the city hires bond counsel to advise us on this, and I think we were well advised to stay within the limits. But even at that, I dropped another 10% and came down to the 60-40. So I'm still at the 40%.
And I agree with Ed. If it wasn't for Alan and Eddie, which are hometown boys standing here, there'd be no way I'd even consider the 40-60. However, I think 35% is reasonable, and I don't think, is it a risk? Yes, it is, but I don't think, it's a lot lower risk than if we had a developer or a contractor in here from Wichita or some other surrounding community. I don't think we're gonna end up with a Bentley, and I think that's what people are concerned with. I don't foresee that happening.
Well, in addition, our long-range plan was, we need more housing.
Right.
We need development, we need to provide housing for people coming here. And they're coming here in part because of tax abatements. We're giving tax abatements, they're hiring more people are coming in. They need a place to live if we expect them to live here in Halstead. So I'm still in favor of.
5. And I think Halstead's an easy drive to Wichita, it's an easy drive to McPherson, it's an easy drive to Newton or to Hutch. It's one of the reasons why over 27 years ago, we decided to make Halstead our home, because it was an easy commute for no matter where Delton or I would find a place to work. And I think a lot of people are saying that. We have a great community. It's a great place for family. It's a great place to retire. It's a great place to have your children educated. And I think people are wanting to get out of the hustle and bustle of a large city. And I think we needed more housing yesterday. Seriously.
I mean, by no means is my decision based off of performance of you guys. The Weber family has been a part of this community for years, right? I mean, great integrity there at all, amongst everything that you guys do. When it comes to the money with the citizens, that's where I'm stuck at, right? I mean, we did come down 50%. I believe when we started this venture, we were even higher than the 50-50%, right?
Originally, back when the first phase started with Cedar Meadows and Vision Homes, it was still a 50-50 split, but the threshold was set at 75% occupancy for complete
That's what it
release.
was, yeah.
And half, and then the consideration you guys gave when they took over was complete release at 50% occupancy. And so this would see it lower to the 40%, but then going back to that tiered release based on occupancy.
So we did previously then with the 50-50, we did release it at 50% occupancy.
Yeah, the original terms were 50% letter of credit and then 50% release of that upon 50% occupancy, and the remainder being released at 75%.
Okay. Similar to that aspect of it was similar to what I proposed before. We were talking about. Eddie?
Can I speak for a moment?
Yep, go ahead.
Oh, I just wanted to add in that Al and I bought this land kind of at a premium from Aussie.
That's a shock.
So, it could be worse. It could be that Aussie still owned the land, and we could be dealing with somebody from out of state. So we did stick our neck out to buy it, to develop it. We took over from Vision Homes when they were ready to leave town. We stuck our neck out again to fill that up. It is our goal to continue developing Halstead. We've been here almost all our lives. Went to school here, and just hate to see it slowly deteriorate. Just visiting with Jim here during your executive session, Had a discouraging conversation on Saturday. We're losing another family because they can't find something in Halstead. They're moving to a nearby town. So just wanted to add that in. We're losing some families all the time. In order for people to look at Halstead to, start a new industry here, they're all gonna look at housing first. And we know that housing is an important piece of the puzzle as far as trying to make everything else work. Ethan, you can probably correct me if I'm wrong, but is Harvey County are we an employee deficit county? Do we not have enough employees to fill all the jobs here?
Yeah, I believe that's correct.
It seems like that was something in the, committee that we put together.
Yeah, the strategic plan.
Strategic planning, yeah. And a lot of times we're finding out that people aren't coming here because there's no place to move to. So we need to expedite this and get some houses coming.
Well, in addition to the housing and people moving here, it also builds schools. There's kids that go to school. That helps their tax base. I mean, it's a multifaceted problem. And here's one key to the problem is helping these guys be able to develop more housing, get more housing on the market.
But it's not just developing houses, it's developing in an expedited way.
And I hate to keep using the word, we're not developers. So I don't know if that comes with a bad stereotype or anything like that, but we're just two people that picked up the baton to keep it moving. Somebody had to do it. I remember we were searching and searching, looking for a developer to come to town. We finally got Vision Homes, but kind of came and went.
Yeah.
They had bigger fish to fry in Wichita and Colwich and Andale. And we are seeing some of that interest from that Colwich, Andale area coming this way. We're seeing that those people are paying too much for land down here. It's cheaper this way.
So I think I have, one of my issues that I have is that we seek counsel for a reason, right? We seek legal counsel for a reason. It's to advise us on decisions that, ultimately impact, the citizens here and what we do in this position. I'd like to kind of see this kind of put to bed for everybody so that we can, to move forward. So with that, I'm just going to make a motion for the builder's agreement to be at a 60-40 split with the 50% reduction at the 50% occupancy and 100% reduction at the 75% occupancy.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second on the floor. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign.
They,
That puts me in a very difficult position.
That's why you get $100 a month.
I agree with all the sentiment that has been shared here tonight. The advice from our bond counsel, even at the 50-50, was that we were typically too low for his comfort, but he doesn't know you guys. Going to 60-40 was lower than Ethan was comfortable with. It was lower than what Brad was comfortable with. Based on that, I have to side with George and Mike and keep it at 60-40 currently. That's not to say that once this thing gets off the ground and gets going, that we can't visit that reduction earlier. I would be willing to entertain that. but I feel it's my responsibility to the taxpayers to follow the advice of our council and our bond council. So that's where I'm at on it, and it has nothing to do with you guys personally. So I hope you understand that.
Do I also understand that the lots are off the table tonight?
We feel that it's premature to offer those at this time. Any ground associated with that tract. I personally, I hope you guys end up with them. I just really don't want to offer them until that street's in and we know we're not going to have a problem with the placement of that street. That's my personal feeling. It's going to be ultimately up to the council what they decide to do. But yeah, right now we just kind of want to keep them off the table until that street work is started and we know exactly where we're at, where we got property pins and legal descriptions on those lots.
That should be fine, Ethan, with the benefit district process.
Yeah, I mean, in theory, the city retaining ownership, the city could also ensure that they're in that petition appropriately, as the landowner. So it's basically just an administrative task of us petitioning ourselves. Whereas if, it was under one ownership, then you just have the single party doing the petition, but yeah, I mean, there shouldn't be an issue if the council wants those lots in the benefit district for them to control that process by retaining ownership.
Is that gonna interfere? I know we're at the stage now where we've got a permit for fill. Is that going to slow us down any on our side or not having the whole area
I don't
permitted?
think so. I think it would
So
only,
there shouldn't be any reason why we can't move forward
yeah.
as far as fill and stuff like that.
As far as I know, there shouldn't be any, cause it's, it'd be specific to the parcel itself. So in this case, the lots you guys have, on the Stutzman side of that where you're bringing in fill should still be able to operate under that permit. And then, cause you would have had to file a new one for anything in Powers or the city or whomever, if they choose to bring that lot up out of the floodplain. So.
That's it.
That's it, I guess. Thank you guys for your consideration.
Thank you.
Guys,
Thanks, guys.
Let's move on to our next item on our agenda, and that's consideration of a fire vehicle replacement. And I believe Jim is here to pitch for a chief mobile.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and council. This kind of goes with the stride as far as inability to get things and the availability of such items. We have had the 2008 Expedition that I've been driving, that we got several years ago, well, in 2008. And it is getting to a point where it's seen enough of the sand hills and had enough work, and it's well time for it to be moving down the line, I think. It's gonna be 14 years old here, and it's been in service that whole time. So I don't know how many times I've been out there and other areas, but it's starting to show its wear. I know from the inside, and it's got just a touch of rust starting on it as well. So I think it's time. We did do some researching. We had it on the docket for coming into next year anyway, to replace. When I seen the dilemmas that the police department had finding something that would work. Ours is a specialized vehicle as well. It has to be, we have to have a little more lift on ours. It has to be be able to tow more. These are things that that we do regularly as far as towing our UTV and the trailers that we have. I've used mine to pull out several vehicles over the years, and they do go places that are need a specialized piece of apparatus. Needs to be lifted a little more and have the all-terrain tires on it to a point. And so we did a little researching. The companies themselves are just like everybody else. You know what the dilemma is in trying to order anything. There was no one that would take an order on a 2022 model. That has been closed. 2023, who knows where we'll be on that? We just don't quite know. This one happened to be that we are recommending here or would like to see. One is the right color. You know, I've always said a fire vehicle can be any color as long as it's red. And it happens to be one that they were gonna get in as a demo unit. They ordered 3 last year and they happened to finally get them in. And 2 of them were already sold and this other one will be sold. If we don't jump at it, somebody else is gonna take it, just for the simple fact that they're just not available. So this one comes with a little more aggressive tire, which is great. It sets up a little higher, which is great. All of those things are something we would have spec'd anyway on a vehicle. We did check with other dealers. We had 2 of them just come back and say it's not available. And we checked in both white and red, just to make sure. And we were only really able to find one that even was in that classification, and it was quite a bit higher, just for the truck itself, or the SUV itself. So, any questions?
Are you not gonna miss the extra space that Expedition had going to a Tahoe, which is what, probably 2 foot shorter?
Oh, I don't think so. Space is not, as long as we get our basics in there. We don't carry a lot in those, besides personnel.
Sometimes the more room you carry too much.
Absolutely. I've found with more space, it's like a shop, you always fill it up. So that's the way I always look at it, so.
What are your plans with the Expedition?
I visited with Ethan on that. I'm sure we'll probably move it on down the way, either through Purple Wave or to advertise it.
So it's not a trade-in issue?
No, I don't think the trade-in, we kind of talked to him about it momentarily. I explained to him the age and, I think we would, to be honest, I think we'd be better off trying to sell it on Purple Wave than what a trade allowance would be.
The Expedition's still a good vehicle, right?
Yeah, it runs fine and we've always kept it as serviced as possible. So it's got some things that
Well, it's a Ford.
normal wear, but it's a.
When do you hope to take delivery on the new one?
He's working on the 2, obviously, that are sold already. But we're probably looking at February, end of February, maybe March on this one. That's a guess. Maybe
You milked that other one from 2008 till now. I commend you highly.
Especially for only 78,000 miles on it.
And with that, if there's no further questions, I would make a motion to approve the ordering and purchase of the 2021 red Chevy Tahoe SSV, 4-wheel drive and outfitting costs from Serve for an amount not to exceed $52,000, with said purchase not being made until January 1, 2022, and the 2022 fiscal year.
Second.
One other thing, Jim, you're gonna agree to not retire until this vehicle's ready for replacement, right?
we're probably gonna have to negotiate that one.
Well, I thought it was worth a shot. Okay, we've got the motion and the second to replace this vehicle. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign.
Thank you very much, Council.
Thank you, Jim, for
Sam.
everything you do. Next item on our agenda is consideration of capital improvements at Wedgewood. And Mr. Eberly is here tonight, and I hope he's got a good story.
Yeah, I always have good stories. Mayor, council, thank you for giving me time and for the consideration of improvements at Wedgewood. So over the last 2 years, we've seen a large increase in play, tournaments, and leagues. Since 2020, we have added 3 leagues, 4 annual golf tournaments, and to show how play has increased, in 2019, we did just over 10,500 rounds, and in 2020, we did 20,200 rounds. And so right now, we're on pace to definitely match that, but we're gonna end up blowing that out of the water this year. So, so to turn that kind of a different way, so during tournaments, many of the players and supporters want a place where they can sit down, do awards, and a place to enjoy food and beverages. Having a patio on the south side of the clubhouse will not only enhance the experience, but it'll also help us grow tournaments, bring in different tournaments. People are wanting a place where they can do the awards, or one place where people can conversate at the end. And right now we have that, but we don't have that. The other thing the patio will do will also help with the structure of the logs on the clubhouse. With the patio, we'll no longer be dealing with water settling, mud, and dirt, which contribute to wood rot, which is something before we did the clubhouse remodel, we had a lot of wood rot. And so we're trying to negate all that. The other consideration is finishing the cart path at 6th green and 7 tee box. This portion of the cart path has not been completed. It was never completed since the golf course was built in '84. My thought of the cart path not being completed was due to the septic tank placement, but after review, the tank is definitely not an issue. That was just my only thought. I haven't talked to anybody else about it, so, but there's definitely not an issue there. This path is one of the most used areas on the course due to the proximity to the clubhouse. It's a great beverage cart stop, and it's a central location for 6 green and 7 tee boxes, so there's always groups of people right there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to propose 2 considerations, with the first being my recommendation. The first is building the patio on the south side of the clubhouse and finishing the cart path at 6th green, 7 tee box with a price not to exceed $23,000 from Bryant & Bryant Construction. The second is doing just the patio on the south side of the clubhouse and a price not to exceed $10,000 from Bryant & Bryant Construction. The plan is to do the work in late December to early January, depending on weather, depending on when they have finished up their projects. And this would be funded from the city's capital improvement fund. Is there any questions?
I was thinking about that patio on the south end. The protection for the clubhouse is pretty important, but if you look at it based on a year, 2 years, maybe even 4 years from now, for further protection and expansion of the club, which I don't see any signs of it backing up, losing business. You know, we've got people coming from all over to play the course. The word is out how nice it is, but it also would be an investment to potentially at some point putting a patio cover, if not all the way, part way over the concrete patio that Sam has proposed, and that could be tied in just like on the north end, where it ties into the eave, and be nice to have all the plans to where you know where to put the footings, but footings that have to be cut out like we did on the other end anyway, so that's no big deal. I see it as an enhancement, like you said, for tournaments. For now, if they can bring canopies in, there would be room to put 2, 3, maybe even 4 canopies for a tournament that comes in from outside the area or whatever. You know, the learning center is benefited by the golf course. It's been really nice for the city. And talking to the guys, this is another thing for Halstead too, talking to the guys out there that play regular. A lot of those people are coming into Halstead for breakfast, coming into Halstead for lunch. So we're getting revenue from the golf course in other ways too. So it's kind of a, feed the golf course, feed the city of Halstead. So I see it as a very positive. And Sam's done a tremendous job out there too. On on the cart path between 6 and 7, that has been a stinking mud hole. It has just been a mud hole every time, and like Sam said, it's probably one of the busiest points because you're finishing the par 5 and teeing off on a par 4. People go into the clubhouse to get beer, go in, get a Gatorade, whatever they go in for. But they accumulate right there, and if there's any rain the night before, you're standing in water everywhere you get out of your cart. And I've got a black cart, and I'm tired of washing it.
How many feet of cart path is that?
It's 32 that has to be removed. It's 1,550 square feet. So
These
it's
cart paths are what, 4 foot wide, Sam, or 5 or?
5
what?
foot.
That one
5
really
foot.
needs to be.
Well, sorry,
wider than
no, it's
that.
gonna be 6 foot. It's gonna be 6 foot wide coming into it. You should have pictures. It kind of L shapes going towards the bridge from the cart path. And we're gonna make that big diameter so people can pull it beside each other.
Yes, yes.
Beverage cart can come through.
Closest spot to the clubhouse too.
Yeah.
At that point, so.
It finishes a project that was started how many years ago? And that portion never has been done.
You said 84, didn't you?
84, 85, yeah.
I was still in high school.
Does it make sense to go, I'm with Sam on this too, with regards to, having the awning built or something, out there. Does it make sense? If we're seeing this kind of revenue come in from that golf course, and, I speculated on it when I first started in the council for however long ago it was, right? Does it make sense to go ahead and try to get a cost of what that would be? And do we have the money to even do something like that before we get into the springtime when play starts picking up, and go ahead and present it?
You mean go ahead and put a cover on?
Go ahead and put a cover on. Surely it wouldn't cost that
That much more than what they're all,
Oh.
just to put a,
If I remember right, just the cover on the north side was 45.
Yeah.
Just that was just the building that wasn't the rock that was placed there. That was just the
The structure, the
structure.
ceiling, the soffits,
Yeah.
the gable, all
But
that.
it doesn't necessarily have to be that extensive either. We're talking a shelter roof on the south end.
That's the face of Wedgewood.
Well, I'm thinking absolute minimum is to put footings in, maybe get together with Bryant and Bryant or whoever you want to talk about, just how big of a structure you think we want to put in, at least put some footings in now, so that you don't have to cut them out later.
Yeah, and I'd be in favor of that too. I mean, we had a wedding out there here a while back, right?
Yeah.
And I've been out there. We definitely could use the patio area, but especially through the hot summer months, I think that our main goal down the road needs to be that patio needs to be covered. I think it would serve more purpose if it was covered.
Okay.
So,
To help him get going on what he can do this year, do we want to separate the cart path away from that? Get that approved to go forward, and then get the plans for what we want to do? What's your thoughts, Sam? Or is it
Honestly,
one
my
bid?
thought is the price will change.
Okay.
Definitely, because they're they're bidding 2 projects because they're gonna be out there. So now they're gonna do this, leave, and everything's gotta come back out. It's gonna make that price go up.
As far as the covered space, one of the things, at least temporarily, of not having it covered again, we can pursue something that's maybe not as tied in as the north patio was, but this would allow them to transition where carts are even stored, which would open up that north patio more than it is right now, where it's being used for cart storage and also for people to congregate under. So the carts could actually come to the south side, during a tournament.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, my thought is to go ahead and approve this concrete work that we're looking at, but either look for a change order or add to it for the foundation for a future cover over that patio.
Correct me if I'm wrong, we don't really need footings for the concrete pad. It would be a post-supported
Yeah, you could do
cover, which
sonotube.
you could do the cutout and the footings for the posts without affecting any of the other concrete, correct?
Right.
So what we do with concrete now, the only The only, I guess, negative effect would be you might go in and cut out a 3-foot by 3-foot hole, dig it down, pour concrete, set the posts in, or
That's what-
footing to set the posts on.
That's what they did for that,
Yeah,
Right.
so, yeah.
because that concrete was already there.
I think it's a good approach to take, that we eventually get that awning up there.
But that's for a future date.
Right, right.
Well, with that, if there's no questions, I'd make a motion to approve the quotes from Bryant and Bryant Construction for a concrete patio and cart path improvements with a total project price not to exceed $23,000.
Second.
Have the motion and the second for this golf course project. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Thank you. Motion carries. Thanks, Sam.
Thanks, Sam.
Thanks, Sam.
Next item on our agenda is consideration of the 2021 audit engagement with Knutson Monroe. Ethan, you gonna bring us up to par on that?
Yeah, state statute requires the city have an annual audit of its financial statements. We've been utilizing Knutson Monroe for over 10 years now. I have a very good working relationship with the auditors. They do transition that audit team to address familiarity concerns. They are proposing the same cost as the audit for the 2020 fiscal year, which is $12,750. And we would make a recommendation to approve that audit engagement letter so we can secure their services for the 2021 audit.
Well, with that, there's no questions. Mr. Mayor, I'd make a motion to approve the 2021 audit engagement with Knutson Monroe for the amount not to exceed $12,750 and to authorize staff and mayor to sign necessary documentations.
Second.
Have the motion and the second to select Knutson Monroe for our annual audit. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That motion carries. And they do a pretty thorough job. I know I've read a lot of their audits over the years.
Do a good job.
Next item on the agenda is consideration of cell tower lease extension. And we'll go back to Ethan for that.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The city was approached by SBA Towers 4, who currently manages the lease for, it was Singular Wireless. It's basically an AT&T tower. For out there at the industrial park, the original lease it was for a 5-year term and then successive 5-year terms, which would see that lease run through 2035. You know, we've brought before you all before, they've offered to buy that lease out. The city has refused those offers to this point. So that they've switched gears and would like to extend for an additional 5 successive 5-year terms. So that would actually take that lease through 2060. Brad has seen kind of that renewal documentation, so he's had a chance to review if you have any questions there. Basically, our lease terms set the original lease at $500 per month, and then each time it goes into another 5-year term, it raises 10%. So this extension would basically keep that term as well. It's not changing the price or anything like that. It's holding us to what was previous there. The agreement basically just extends that time period to 2060. Some advantages to the city is obviously this is an asset that we have that can be capitalized should the city ever need immediate, cash on hand. We get probably at least one letter a month asking us about our cell tower lease and offering to buy it or manage it for us or anything like that. So they are a financial asset, but so far, the long-term return to the city is better than any offer we fielded by keeping it running on a lease as opposed to an outright purchase. So just would get this in front of you because they were just curious if the city of Halstead's happy. They would like to see the availability to extend, with switching to 5G and that, cell towers are probably here to stay for the foreseeable future. So
On the cell tower out south here, is it comparable to the same agreement that we have on the cell tower in the industrial park?
the Verizon tower, I don't know, the school, I think
School
is actually
property.
has
That's
that one.
right, that was a school deal.
So I would imagine they probably have some sort of similar lease. I don't know what the terms are.
Yep, I forgot about that.
Brad, do you see any inherent issues in going in such a extended lease? You said
I've never really-
2060?
Yeah, I'm never really in favor of those. There are certainly reasons on occasion to do it. We average a 2% adjustment each year if you just simply do the math based on what they did, which isn't egregious. If you do choose to pass it, I would want you to do that, subject to staff review. Ethan had asked me about it, I reviewed it. They don't like to make very many changes to these, but there are a couple of things in terms of an adjustment based upon that I've found is available in some settings based upon cost of living exceeding a certain point, that the adjustment can be adjusted itself. And I would like to propose that to them. That did not really come to me until I was looking at it again on Sunday, and I'd really like to, but I didn't get a chance to call anyone today. So I'd like to at least see if that's a possibility for our benefit.
So there's been no inflation element on that 2% since the agreement. So if it went
So
up
we're
to
locked
3%,
into
that'd be
that.
pretty
Yeah.
pretty minimal.
Yep.
Do you have experience with other cities and the kinds of contracts that they're being offered?
Yeah, this is not, this is in the middle. It's not outside the realm of reality. I've just, in recent years, been less inclined to support such a number of extensions with them, and also not to have some ability to give us an opportunity to review with some trigger, like a cost of living kind of an adjustment or various types of economic indicators that you could key it to. So I don't know how receptive these guys will be to that, but we have been successful in getting that done in some other settings.
On the properties in the industrial park surrounding the tower, are there any changes that we might want to make for access or being able to do anything with the lots as part of this?
A little bit of clarification, because they use a standard language that I see in virtually all of them. The problem with it is it's broadly worded so that even though you wouldn't think that a structure well below where the tower is or anything would be an impediment, and what they're looking for usually, or what we envision, is that someone's not putting up another unit closer nearby that somehow would create an issue with signal or reception or whatever it may be. And as they get smaller all the time. There's also the ability to clarify that a bit that I'd like to at least discuss with them. Because I don't think part of it would give them any heartburn at all in terms of the surrounding area. I also would like to see about intensity of use, on any kind of a tower itself. They get very, what's the term I'm looking for here? Territorial about that, more so than they need to be.
I know when we looked at those initially, one of the concerns we had was a fall area, and that became a non-issue. They had no fall requirements. The biggest concern they had was elevation.
Yeah.
Unobstructed elevation.
These, and if you talk to them, they'll send you the little video of all of their testing on these self-collapsing towers, which they swear by. Still seen them.
Until we
still seen
swear
them
at it.
fall. A couple of them once in a while, but that's the exception to the rule, so they don't concern themselves with that. Because they're set up, they're engineered, they're supposed to go straight down, basically, or very much straight down. I suppose they do. They've convinced the regulatory environment that they don't need that 1.5 times fall zone anymore, which does free up some property around it, but I wouldn't want to build my house right underneath it, I'll be honest with you.
So we want to table this for now?
Well, I don't know if you want, Ethan, I don't know if you wanted them to take action on it tonight, and I'm sorry. What, the agreement itself, I don't have huge problems with, but that just maintains the status quo. And I've told Ethan too, that there, on several things that I would ask them about, they're gonna say, oh, heck no, but I'm still gonna ask. And some of them, there are some options on that adjustment that certainly a lot of them have agreed to keep an ongoing relationship, particularly if you wanna make it that long. Because once we sign it, they've got the option to just keep rolling every 5 years or whatever. And
I think we ought to up it from 2 to 3.
Yeah, I'd say you can basically make a motion to, authorize staff to negotiate terms per the discussion that we've had this evening, and we can at least put it out there and see what they respond to or what they don't, so.
Do we want to keep that length of time? Is that a good length? Is that a smart length?
It's all in the negotiation. Sometimes you gain enough in other areas to make it worthwhile to allow that to
Then
go
that should be
forward.
part of the consideration, I guess.
Say, the reason or the benefit to going long-term is if you do have to capitalize on it,
Yeah,
if you only own it for 10 years, it's way less valuable than if you own it for 40. So because it's actually treated in 5-year successive terms, there is kind of an off-ramp. It's not the simplest of off-ramps, like if the lease just ended, but there is an ability at that 5-year turn for some negotiation to happen. But again, it's your guys' prerogative. It's just thinking about it from a financial asset. It's worth more to the city as a financial asset, the longer we technically would have them or have control of it.
I'd let Ethan negotiate it, and even if it stays as it is, it's a definite paycheck every year for the city.
Was that a motion?
I can make a motion to have staff negotiate with the Singular Wireless for the most beneficial lease agreement that they can obtain and go forward with it.
I'll second.
Sounds good, but let's change that to AT&T.
Or SBA,
SBA towers, I think
SBA
is
towers,
they keep changing names.
What'd I say?
singular.
That's what it says.
that's who it was back in the day.
Oh, that was original, okay.
We have the motion and the second to negotiate the cell tower contract. All in favor, say aye.
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 Those same sign. That carries unanimously. Good luck, and we expect big things from you guys on that.
At least $500 a year or a month or whatever.
Next item on our agenda is discussion of the governing body manual and new member orientation. And Ethan, I know that this is your pride project, so
Yeah.
tell us what you want to do.
First, just didn't receive any feedback, and I don't know if anyone sent any feedback to Brad, but last I spoke to him, didn't get any suggested changes that anyone would like to see in the governing body manual that we sent out via email after the last meeting for your review. So if everyone is comfortable with the contents of that manual, there is Resolution 1122-2112, which just adopts that governing body manual with its updates. Kind of enshrines it as an official document of the city. And then we did reach out to Councilmember-elect Flavin and Councilmember-elect Homewood on available dates they would have, either December 6th or 13th. It looks like that governing body training works best on, I lost my spot here, the Tuesday, December 14th. For those two, and of course, as the newest members coming on, want to make sure they can go there, but this is, Brad can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe setting a work session is probably the most appropriate way to handle it, since there will be a quorum, hopefully showing up for this training. So Tuesday, the 14th is kind of emerged as the best possible date. But again, we want to try and make sure everyone can attend, or as many of you can attend as well, so.
That is not going to work. No, seriously, it's pending.
Yeah.
And that's a mandatory evening for me per my contract. So I cannot be there.
Everybody else, how's your schedules
I
looking?
can be there.
I say one
I don't have it in front of me, I can't answer it.
thing we didn't really discuss, and I didn't put out to Brody or Josh when I spoke to them, is also doing a weekend, because Brad would like to be there if at all possible, but Tuesday nights would also technically run him afoul of his other commitments to other clients. So again, I don't know if you all, like a Saturday at some point would work. So,
I'm free on, I can make it, just as long as I can plan ahead.
So
How long do you intend on this to take?
typically
8
2
to 10
hours.
hours.
Sorry, Bill.
8 to 10. Well, Brad, there 8 to 10 hours. My section 2.
Right, yeah. You can reduce it with your internet law degree.
Exactly. I'll give you
Do
the
you need
Cliffs
any
notes.
action on this tonight? Were you looking for action tonight, or you want a consensus? You want some of these council guys to check on their schedules and email you?
as far as, would like to see action on the resolution, and then the work session date, if it's kind of up in the air. If people can just send me some available dates, we can measure the downside of that is just we don't have another meeting until the 13th. So it would have to be after the 13th, so you guys could set the meeting that date, which if we did it on a Saturday would be the 18th. So,
Well, with that, I'm gonna make I'll say, I did actually read the handbook, and yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you very much. A lot of work there. If there's no questions or discussions regarding that, I would like to make a motion to adopt Resolution 11/22/2112, a resolution adopting the governing body manual for the city of Halstead.
Second.
Have the motion and the second to adopt this resolution as George read. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That resolution carries. And so would you just like the council to respond via email on some dates to you, Ethan, and go from there?
yeah, we can always call a meeting, I mean, in between times via our meeting call procedure, so it's not a hard, just, yeah, if,
I could do almost any night, but that or the day before, the 12th or the 13th or 14th.
okay. Well, if,
Just those end of semester stuff.
I would say if everyone can check their schedules of any time between December 4th and December 18th, that might work, and just send me dates that will work for you, or I might try and send out an electronic poll, and I will visit with Brody and Josh as well, and see if there's other dates. That way we can hopefully try and get everyone there, or at least as many as possible.
All right, we'll keep moving on our agenda, and under executive sessions, we have two more this evening, and I would entertain the motion for that first one as soon as Ethan is done writing it.
I love reading my motions. Mr. Mayor, I move that the Halstead City Council recess into executive session for 20 minutes to discuss contract negotiations pursuant to the consultation with an attorney on matters that would be deemed privileged in the attorney-client relationship, exception KSA 75-4319B2. And as in addition to the governing body, the following persons join the governing body in executive session: the city manager and the city attorney. The open meeting and governing body to reconvene in the city council chamber at 8:25 p.m.
Second.
Have the motion and the second to move into executive session. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. We will be moving into executive session. We are back from our first executive session. Is there any action to be taken as a result of? Hearing no movement from the council, I will entertain that motion for that second executive session, actually the third one tonight. As soon as Ethan's done there.
All right, Mr. Mayor, I move that the Halstead City Council recess into executive session for 10 minutes to discuss performance of a city employee and maintain privacy rights, personnel matters of not, or pursuant to the personnel matters of non-elected personnel, exception KSA 75-4319B1. And ask that in addition to the governing body, the following persons join the governing body in executive sessions: the city manager and the city attorney. The open meeting and governing body to reconvene in the city council chamber at 8:73 PM. 8:37. A little dyslexic there, sorry.
Second.
873.
The motion and the second to move into executive session. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those same sign. We will move back into executive session. We are back from our last executive session. Is there any action to be taken as a result of? Hearing nothing from the council, I'll consider that a no, and we'll move on our agenda. And that takes us to the report section. Start with governing body, and tonight I'll start with you, Denise.
Nothing except for as we start getting into the holiday season, I wish everybody a happy and thankful Thanksgiving. Enjoy your family and friends, because I know a lot of us haven't gotten together with our extended family for almost 2 years now. So happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
And I will echo Denise's comments.
I feel the same way. Mike?
Yeah, I'd like to say, citizens out there, we're all raking our yards, mowing our yards, and let's make sure that we're keeping the leaves and the grass in our yards rather than out in the streets. That's all I have.
Pass.
Okay. That'll take us to the manager report. That's you, Ethan.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Council, I met with Tim Sutherland of Sutherland Builders on the 204 Main property on Friday the 12th to get up to date on progress. The contractor had ran into a personal matter that caused an unexpected delay in working on the building for a few weeks, but we're planning to start back up full time on the project last week. Tim felt there was about 3 to 4 weeks left of work to do on the project, and that weather permitting, they would be done no later than the end of the year. While rising prices and availability of materials have been a challenge, he also did not feel that keeping the project within budget was going to be an issue. I met with Harlan Foraker on the Cedar Meadows second development and other projects. He's currently preparing a scope of work for the city's consideration regarding final engineering and inspection of the next phase of that development. And then with the filing of the final plat, he has completed the contracted work for the Powers Addition. The city has finally received the surveyed lot information for the lot in the industrial park via previous discussions with the Little Ark Drainage District. Staff will continue working with the LAR membership and our legal counsel on bringing that finalized agreement for purchase of the parcel to the governing body for consideration. The city did receive word that the Camet Health Association plan was launched with 10 initial cities that included Halstead. We are working with Mike Wise, Camet, and Blue Cross Blue Shield in order to get transitioned over to that association plan. And we'll be setting up an in-service day for our staff to go over this change with them. While the launch group was smaller than anticipated, confidence remains high that more cities will join and help build that group further. Staff will monitor how the association plan performs over the next year in determining whether the stated goals of switching are being accomplished. City has completed interviews for the open public works position and made tentative offers of employment to potential candidates. The next step, should they accept, would be pre-employment testing and getting a start date set. FERC released the final report on the February winter storm. And FERC is the Federal Energy Regulation Commission. Kansas Municipal Gas Agency staff did send the link out to that report. They're currently reviewing. The report's over 300 pages. So I'm sure as they and myself have time to review it, we'll have more to share about anything interesting that report contains regarding last February's gas issue. Councilmember Torres kind of stole my thunder here, but leaf and limb pickup will be starting Monday after Thanksgiving weekend. A reminder to everyone that items should be curbside by Monday morning, and the pickup is for leaf, limbs, and bagged yard debris only, not trash. Public Works makes a one-time swing through the city during the week, so please make sure items are out Monday morning before 8 a.m. Also, please remember that it is against city code to blow leaves from your yard out into the street, and the recommendation from us is that you mulch them in place or rake them and bag them to take to the burn site, where you should be unbagging them. Don't just leave the bags at the burn site. And then a few schedule reminders. I will be in Atchison from December 1st through December 3rd for the KACM Board of Directors meeting and the annual conference for KACM. And then city offices and buildings will be closed on this Thursday and Friday for the Thanksgiving holiday. And that is all for the manager's report.
Anybody have any questions of that report?
I have one on basically yard waste. I've already witnessed one party burning yard waste in the yard. Are we putting on the sign out front of City Hall or anything on Facebook about the policies on burning yard waste in your yards?
No, but we will.
Thank you. It's that time of year, unfortunately.
Next up is our financial report, and as soon as Ethan catches his breath, he'll give that to us.
All right, you have the reports there, and I do apologize, because I know it's been a while since we've had one. Soft closed, or we're now soft closed through the end of the third quarter, as we continue to work through staff training and then identifying and correcting some reporting errors that are just involved with our financial software and the setup of those payment plans and how they're writing into our budgetary fund accounting. But across all budgeted funds, revenues are over 90% of expectation for the fiscal year, while expenditures remain about 5% lower than anticipated. The majority of funds are in better cash position than at this time in the 2020 fiscal year, with the exceptions being our general fund, water fund, and then special parks and recreation and the special street and highway fund. Special Parks and Highway have a negative variance from last year due to the timing of expenditures or planned larger expenditures from those funds this year compared to last. The general fund negative variance is attributable to the timing of transfers out of the general fund and into the city equipment or capital improvement funds, with the variance only being around a 3% drop in cash position. The water fund variance is due to higher expenditures and transfer timing, although the cash position continues to move in the right direction from previously in the year, and that variance is decreased from about a 15% deficit at the end of the second quarter to now it's about 8.5%. So we are gaining ground in the water fund, and that's what we want to see happen. Staff will continue to monitor those funds for overall fiscal health, and budgeted transfers for the year have so far continued as planned. The general fund has been bolstered in revenues, mainly with sales tax revenues and then golf course operations exceeding expectation. Additional sales tax revenue has hit the $153,000 threshold, which covers the remaining pool bond payment and the transfer of about $45,000 to the capital improvement fund for those funds specified for quality of life projects. The remaining additional sales tax money for the year will stay in the general fund for the remainder of this fiscal year. New to the general fund this year, swimming pool revenue and recreation program revenues did come in at about expectations. All city departments in the general fund are running at or below their expected expenditures, and overall, the general fund expenditures are at about 10% below their anticipated levels for this point in the year. As fuel and other consumables continue to rise in price, we do anticipate that we'll see expenditures increase going into the fourth quarter and the final part of the year. But department heads remain vigilant and watching and controlling their expenditures where they can. Utility funds overall remain in healthy shape, with almost all utilities running an expense to revenue rate of 70% or higher. The gas fund continues to see some volatility as natural gas prices have risen and driven purchase costs up for the city, especially compared to the previous year and costs seen. At the end of the third quarter, the city has collected just over $150,000 in revenue from dedicated payment plans, and we've paid just under $70,000 towards our state loan obligation. The collected amount from the payment plans does not include the funds from those gas customers who chose to pay their bills in full, just to be clear. The difference in the amount between what we've collected and what we've paid has mainly to do with the fact the payment plans actually started collecting in April, and then the loan payments didn't start until July 1st. And then also the fact some customers chose payment plans of only 4 to 6 months, while others went the entire 48-month term that was offered. Per discussion and direction from the governing body, that additional revenue is being kept on hand to either accelerate debt payment if we get notification that the interest rate on that obligation will increase, or it's also in anticipation of payments that are going to be due in the future when the overall collected amounts would decline as more payment plans are retired. The refuse fund was also in healthy enough shape, so part of its budgeted transfer to the capital improvement fund for street repairs was able to be done. Capital and reserve plans, which is the second page, continue to remain at or build balances. At the end of September, the city equipment fund had a balance of $646,101 available for future equipment needs, and the capital improvement fund had a balance just over $710,000. I will note that the capital improvement fund balance does include approximately 88% of the 204 Main project already being paid for from that fund. So I believe that's some positive news, and we were able to bolster that fund so it didn't have quite as severe an impact as we thought when we originally took on that expense. Within the capital improvement fund, and that balance is 710,000. There is currently just over 130,000 that was earmarked specifically for quality of life projects, and then a little over 300,000 that is available for capital street work. Utility reserve funds continue to build their respective balances, and the city also has ARPA funds that it received mid-year in a dedicated capital fund until such time as the city decides on how best to expend those funds. Overall, the city continues to operate within its budget authority of the amended 2021 budget and within available cash constraints of the various funds. Sorry that was long-winded, but it's been a while since we had one. So if there are no questions, that is our financial report.
With this high rate of inflation that we're under right now, is that going to have any effect in any particular area of the city budget? I mean, are there any changes that we're going to have to make for what we put out there to our citizens? That's a big, broad question, I know.
Yeah, I mean, not anything that I could foresee immediately as far as us pushing out in terms of, you know, a lot of the services we provide are intangibles. I mean, obviously, like fuel continuing to crease up, it is gonna hit operating budgets pretty hard.
Police department, fire department,
Yeah, so
maintenance.
we're watching that. Luckily, I mean, the way we've budgeted, we didn't do drastic cuts in our fuel lines back from the last time gas was at a higher rate, even though we saw it's kind of our conservative approach when we budget. That's always been asked for from the council when giving guidance on the budget, but same kind of with salary lines of just because we see a savings one year, we don't necessarily pull back that expenditure because we know, you know, hopefully we are keeping our employees and the salaries would get back to that
I think
point.
what I'm hearing you saying, we're making smart decisions to offset dumb decisions made up on Capitol Hill, correct?
We're trying our
Is that a
best.
fair assessment? I would concur.
Any other questions for Ethan's financial report? Well, our agenda is finished, so I would entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second. Second.
Have a motion and a growly second for adjournment. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. We are adjourned. Thank you, council.